My name's Colin, this is Trail Trash ADV, and this is my Suzuki V-Strom 650. It's a 2017, and I have owned it since new. For 7 years, I have been riding this thing off-road and sharing my shenanigans with my loyal viewers. Thank you so much for continuing to tune in. It has been my genuine pleasure getting to know you all. Naturally, after riding the bike this long, it's time to give this mean machine a proper review and tell you why I'm selling it. There are many V-Strom 650s out there, but there are few like mine. We have the Adventure Rally X Rally tower on this, Cogent Dynamics drop-in damper cartridge in the front end, the World's Edge shock in the rear of this bike from Cogent Dynamics as well, heated grips, we've got Outback Motortech crash bars and skid plates, a bunch of custom 3D printed parts from Jeff Britton over at Trail Trash Garage. Let that spider try and crawl its way down my throat. And we have, I don't know, oh, some handguard. Yeah, we've got some handguards. Oh, and some off-road tires. Of course, we got off-road tires on this bad boy. Oh, Jesus Christ! Ground clearance, Lord Almighty! Oh, my testicles. Ooh, okay. Ooh, the biggest issue with this bike and on all the 650s, it's the ground clearance. That's the dominant limiting factor on this. And I'm gonna talk about that first because that's the reason I just sacked myself. It only has like 5 inches of ground clearance once you put a skid plate on this bad boy, which is not a whole lot. And you have to put a proper skid plate on this. Little SWMO Tech ones, you know, little thin aluminum ones. They're not going to do it, friends. You need something heavy duty if you're going to ride this hard or ride this fully loaded. So Outback Motortech, in my opinion, is the only way to go. Dominant limiting factors, ground clearance, and front suspension when you get the stock. The front end is totally undersprung. It's like so many bikes. But if you want to ride this off-road, it becomes an absolutely essential mod. So even if you just want to ride it on the street, I mean, getting a DDC kit is going to totally transform the front end of this bike. And this is coming from someone who bought it with my own money. Now that we've gotten through everything that's wrong with the bike, which is really only those two things, let me tell you about why this bike is friggin' unreal. We've got, look at all this tech. Look at it all. We've got traction control. 1, 2. 2's for rainy days. 1's for on the road and dirt roads. Off is for off-road. Because if you try and use it in one off-road, you're never gonna get anywhere. We've got a clock. We've got fuel economy. We've got temp gauge, gear indicators, voltmeter. I mean, it's all here, and it's simple to use, and it saves what you have set for traction control, which is a lot more than most other manufacturers can say about their bikes, and people who spend a lot more on their bikes. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, low RPM assist. You hear that? You see that? See when I pull that clutch in? See when I let that clutch out? You want to talk about making it easy to do low-speed maneuverables on a machine. The rake makes this so stable, the rake and trail I should say on this bike, makes it so stable, it is almost impossible to put down if you stay on the throttle and stay balanced. Yeah, we're gonna go this way. Now I say that and you watch, I might be able to put it down. We've got that 90-degree V-twin 645cc? 650-ish. So it produces the majority of its torque low in the rev range, which means you don't really have to come onto this thing to get what you need out of it. You know, it's linear, it's gentle. If you're an experienced rider, you can wring the hell out of this motor and have a blast. If you're a new rider, you can accidentally wring the hell out of this motor and be pretty confident that it's not gonna get away from you, or at least not reach that period in the rev range where you're saying, oh my god, it just suddenly came alive and now I don't know what to do. Yeah, sorry, just hard to ride and talk. Whew. Especially with my poor testicles. You know, and these engines are bulletproof. They're just I'm not gonna spend the whole time talking about the engine, but I mean, it just crawled through that, and you don't gotta rev the crap out of it. So yeah, bulletproof engines, electrical, there's no issues. I'm really struggling to find something wrong with this. Even for off-road ABS, it's smart enough or dumb enough that it will bring you to a stop if you use both the front and rear brake. Use one or the other and you're basically damning yourself to not have any braking at all. But if you use both, it will basically lock itself up on you. That's how good the brakes on this are. You know, I can't recommend this machine enough. Nobody's paying me to say any of this. I mean, I've had it through the Cape Breton Highlands, the Cabot Trail, the middle of nowhere, and I just trust that every time I take it out, it's gonna get me home. This bike has never once left me stranded. It was on the original chain and sprockets at essentially 40,000 kilometers. It's still on its original battery. Consumables wear at a totally reasonable rate for what I do. You know, we're talking 24,000 kilometers out of a set of front brake pads, you know, 10 to 12 out of a rear. And again, that's riding off-road, all the dirt, all the mud, all the muck. Am I gonna slide in? We're gonna see. No, maybe not. This is just, it's just a bulletproof machine that's not gonna treat you wrong. I've had this up on the True Northeast route by graveltravel.ca. So I went to the ends of the Trans-Taiga Trail, mostly off-road on the way up, solo. That took part of the Trans-Canada Adventure Trail over Fabs Hill, which if you've done Fabs Hill, you know that is not an easy go on a dual sport, let alone an adventure bike, let alone a V-Strom 650 with 4.5 inches of ground clearance. I think I have made a mistake going the right line, but we will see. This is not as deep as I thought. The fuel range on this bike, like I said, you can get 400 kilometers out of it, which is just incredible. Like, you can't get that much fuel range out of these larger displacement adventure machines. But this little 650cc engine, it just simps. Where to next? Oh, I suppose this is a good opportunity to talk about how this machine actually handles on the road. It spanks! I love it! You don't need a liter bike to have fun on the roads. This 650cc engine with a 6-speed transmission will do it. You know, you can load this bike up with gear, with a partner, and go for a weekend of moto camping. And it will perform admirably, especially with the stock suspension. You crank that remote adjustable preload up, you make the small adjustment that you can make on the stock shock, and it will, again, handle admirably. The brakes will handle that admirably. I even did some off-road with the stock setup 2 up, and it handled it. It's just a great machine. I can't say it enough. All the people that you hear online saying, oh, you know, it's a budget bike, it's cheap, it's this, it's that. Yeah, it may be cheaper than your KTM, but there's a reason that this 2017 V-Strom 650 is still running with essentially no maintenance required to it, and a Husqvarna Nord 901 gets, you know, 10,000 kilometers before needing a new engine. Suzuki has this thing figured out. So here is the sad part of all of this. This bike is being sold. And you might be saying, well, why, Colin? You've spent the last however many minutes barking off about how fabulous this bike is and how incredible and reliable and how Nordens and KTMs and Husqvarnas suck, and all of that is true. But I'm not selling this bike because I need to sell this bike. I'm not even selling this bike because I want to sell this bike. I'm selling this bike because I'm moving. I am not going to tell you where I'm going. I'm not going to tell you when I'm going, but I am moving and this bike can't come with me. For those of you who have been following along on the Trail Trash ADV social, can probably make a pretty good guess of where, and you can probably make a pretty good guess of what's coming in the future for this channel. Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure getting to know you the last 7 years, and I look forward to sharing with you what's going to be coming next. Thank you so much for tagging along and for all your comments, all your support, even the people who were, even the folks who were not so nice. Thank you too for chiming in. For Colin from Trail Trash ADV, I will catch you in the next video.